Hey, welcome in on PhoenixMercury.com. Kevin Ray, voice of the Phoenix Mercury, and this woman to my right really doesn't need an introduction, but what the heck, Diana Taurasi.
So,
Good to see you, Dee. She is back and ready. A long off season, and you know it's interesting because when people talk about the off season with other sports, I mean they think guys are taking vacations, they're hanging out. The WNBA off season for you is really quite extraordinary. I mean, talk about quote the off season for you.
Well, the off season begins with obviously the WNBA season ending, and shortly after that going over to Europe. 90% of us go. I've been going for the last 5 years, so it's something that's just that comes with it. So there really is no off season, which is good and bad. Sometimes you need that rest, but going to Europe is pretty special.
How has that experience been overall? Because the last 2 years you've been in Russia,
right?
And playing for a guy who's garnered a lot of press, big headlines in Sports Illustrated a few months back. Shabtai Van Kalmanovic, the owner of Spartak, and talk about this guy, his presence, his demeanor, and maybe what he's done for women's basketball over there.
He's this great personality. I mean, if you Googled him, his life story comes up, which is pretty interesting. Some people have different perspectives on him, but he's a great guy and loves women's basketball. He grew up as a big basketball fan in Lithuania. He was an average player, but then, really fell in love with women's basketball about 15 years ago and kind of started the whole European movement in Russia with the Canberra, with the first team with Alicia Milton and Yolanda Griffith. So they kind of pioneered their ways of Russia. And he's just a great owner, kind of Mark Cuban-ish. He's very outgoing. He sits on the bench. He gets up and yells at everyone, but, he really loves to win. And he treats us like gold. And whenever an owner does that, it gives you an extra bit of motivation to go out there and win for him.
Well, it's no secret that clearly the top players, yourself, Cappy has played over there for the last few years as well. Lauren Jackson, Sue Bird, your former teammate at UConn. They have rewarded you with not only healthy contracts, but to put you in a lifestyle over there to really make you feel comfortable. And how important was that, knowing that in advance? Because you're overseas, you're thousands of miles away from your family, and again, you're not really given an off season.
Yeah, overseas isn't easy, and it's not for everyone. As you see a lot of men go over there too, that don't quite make it to the NBA, and it's a different lifestyle. You're talking about a different language, different weather, different people, different culture. They interact differently. And some of these teams, don't treat their players like Shabtai does. Their budget isn't quite there, so their travel's a little bit rougher, taking 18-hour trains, 3 or 4 flights in a day. So I'm not saying it's a cakewalk and it's this, fantasy world that some people think. I mean, it is for us. No, but it's still hard. It's still being in a different country for 8 months away from your friends and your family. But you have to find a way to enjoy it. My first year in Russia, I vouched I was never going back.
Right.
Because it was just very difficult. Didn't get along with the management. The coaching staff was, different perspective on basketball. It just wasn't for me. So the very last day I was in my contract there, I sat down with Shabtai, and he said, I will show you a different side of Moscow and Russia. So, I kind of said, I'm going to put my life in your hands for a little bit, and I'll trust you. So I re-signed with them the following year, and, I've been there now for 3 years, going on probably another 3.
Yeah. What has been maybe the most eye-opening experience for you from your time over there?
God, it really is a different experience. We played in the Final Four this year. We actually played Cappy's team in the semifinals and Lacole's team in the finals of the EuroLeague Championship. And the Final Four was in Spain, in Salamanca, this cool little city in Spain, about 2.5-hour drives from Madrid. And I mean, when I tell you this gym was rocking, it was 8,000 people of soccer fans, of getting after it was just an amazing place to display basketball, and that was probably my best memory from being overseas so far.
What's maybe the biggest misconception of women's professional basketball over there?
You know what? There isn't. It's kind of strange how you think the United States is so advanced on equal rights and this, but it's when we come here we always have to answer questions. Why isn't the WNBA doing so well? Or why isn't it like the NBA? When over there they just accept it for sport. And it's funny because you would think it'd be, the other way around. Europe is, still 25 years behind everyone, but they're pretty advanced as far as accepting sports, and women's basketball is on top of their list, and it really is gratifying to go out there and play.
So here you are, this youngster growing up in Chino. Of course, you've got that Italian heritage. Your father played soccer. But, I mean, could you ever have imagined, growing up in Chino, that you were going to play basketball on a world stage? Olympics, one thing, but to be playing in Russia?
No. I mean, growing up, you go to, history class, and Russia was always the bad guys.
Right.
They were always the bad guys, the Cold War, all that stuff, the scary pictures in the history book. That picture stayed with me a long time, when I was in Russia. But, they've changed. The way they run their country's changed. They've developed. But even this year, we went to Paris, we went to Venice. Just to get to go to so many cool cities. Europe really is fantastic. How old it is, how much tradition. So that's almost just exciting as playing basketball over there. Getting to see everything.
Well, and as you say, the one nice thing about the Russian schedule, the Euro schedule, is you're not playing quite as frequently as you do in the WNBA. It's maybe a couple times a week that you play.
I mean, usually, there's a Euro League, and then there's your country league. So we play in the Euro League, and then the Russian Super League. Nicole played in La Liga, the Spanish League, and then Euro League. Some teams play in Euro Cup. So you play about 2 to 3 games every week. It's a grind of a season, though. It goes through 7 months of double days of having to see your teammates for 7 months. So you grow really close and fond of them.
Right. Leaves a little more downtime. So give me a couple of typical off days in Moscow for you.
Moscow's a beautiful city. It's just anything and everything you want to do is there. Nightclubs, restaurants. Last nights we were there, we went bowling, a couple of us. And over there in Russia, everything is extra large. I mean, when you're talking about bowling alley, about 50 bowling alleys.
Are Texans running the place? Is that?
I don't know what it is. There's no cowboy house, but there's a lot of vodka. And the malls are just huge. You walk into this mall and you're just, you're lost the minute you walk in. The restaurants are beautiful. So, we just chilled a lot. When we do have time off, I like to just relax. We cooked a little bit more this year, so that was good.
Now, I know you like food, so give me the best food that you've experienced since being over there, and of course we got to have the worst food too.
Ooh, the best food I experienced. I'm a borscht lover.
Really?
I love borscht, and we had a doctor, and over there the doctor set the food menu for when you go on the road trip.
Right.
So every time we get on the plane, doctor, the borscht. We'd be like the borscht. So borscht was a mainstay on our menu on the road, and the worst food. Oh man, I mean, they eat a lot of nasty stuff. I mean, I just don't like liver.
Right.
There was one dish for liver, and I was like, no liver. Actually, we ate a lot of duck, which I really like.
Yeah?
Yeah, duck was good. A little duck sauce was good.
Now, how about entertainment? You said there's there's malls, there's bowling over there, nightclubs, and I guess some of this is eased by the fact that you're not over there alone. You've got a lot of your good friends and people that you play with here in the States.
Yeah, we do have a very special situation. I mean, Sue's over there, Lauren, Sylvia Fowles, Noel Quinn, Kelly Miller, ex-Phoenix Mercury. So we had a team of a lot of people that spoke English. When a lot of players go over to a team in Bulgaria and they're the only English-speaking person there, that's when it's tough. That's when, I respect players who go overseas and grind it out, because it's not easy.
How about music? I know you're a big music fan, so how about Russian music? Have you been?
No, we don't mess with Russian music. No, I don't mess with it. iTunes keeps you, up to date on all the Lady Gagas,